Hey folks, Alan Mandic, the HotRodHippie here. In this video, we're going to talk about these little things, Rivnuts or Nutserts as I usually call them. We're going to be talking about a tool that I picked up a couple of months ago off a viewer suggestion that I have been loving to help me install these things on the C10 build. I'll show you a few uses that I've had for them on this project. And I'll show you the tool in operation and why you should consider picking it up. So let's check it out. Now, the 65 GMC that I'm working on here, I have been using Nutserts left and right. I am a big proponent of these things. I use them on projects all the time. First, I'm going to show you some of the real world applications that I've had for Nutserts on the 65 GMC build, how I use them on regular projects, because I use them all the time and I highly recommend them. So we're going to check that out on the GMC here in real world. And then I'm going to show you the tool itself. This thing, if you install Rivnuts on a regular basis, it is absolutely a must-have, and it's significantly cheaper than some of the other options on the market. I like using them for mounting objects when they're not going to be heavy load things. I'm not using it on structural components, but to mount the AC box, to mount a fuse box, some relays, some wire clips, some fuel lines. I will use these on a regular basis for those kinds of applications. In somewhat desperate situations, you could use them to repair blind holes. I haven't had to do that on this project, but I have done that in the past on things. Or I'll also use them to create ground points for a vehicle. Since I'm installing them into a bare metal hole, once I drill a hole to install the Nutsert into, and then install the Nutsert, I can use this as a grounding point. And I've been known to do this many times. It allows me to have a point where I can run a bolt into and go with eyelets on wires and use that as a ground junction point. I've done that many, many times on projects. On the C10 here, I've actually installed a handful of them underneath the dashboard that are here specifically for wire runs. So I can use these with some Adel clamps, the kind of P-shaped clamps, to hold the wires in place underneath the dashboard. And then I have one or two of them that I'm actually going to use, like I said, for grounding points. So I can ground the blower motor and various other objects to specific points underneath the dash of his truck. On this GMC build, even the fuel tank is held in with Nutserts. There are 5/16 Nutserts in the frame of this thing that allow me to install the tank on it. This is great because you can't get inside of the frame rail to bolt this tank in place otherwise. So these things held in position very nicely. On the core support of this truck, I have these two tanks to either side of the radiator, one for the coolant overflow and the other one for a power steering reservoir. And both of those have Nutserts into the core support that they are then bolted into. All right, now you've seen the real world application of how we use these Nutserts on these projects like this, how I use them anyway. Let's talk about the tool. This thing here, the FSI D-100-MIL-1, is excellent. This is my favorite Rivnut installation tool I have ever owned. I've wanted one of these things for years now, but I could never justify it because they're generally $300 or $400. This kit I picked up for about $99. Now this tool is a hand pump hydraulic mechanism that draws in the Nutserts, or it can also be used for pop rivets. This kit actually comes with pop rivet assembly as well, though I don't use pop rivets pretty much ever. The only time I ever use them is to replace pop rivets that were there before, and I just don't like doing that. I either use solid rivets or I bolt things together personally. But you have that option with this kit. The more expensive ones, you don't have that option. You have to buy the tooling separately. So this is such a freaking steal right now. Now, as best as I can tell, what's happened here is that eBay is currently flooded with these things, and that has really driven the market down because they're all military surplus. I'm pretty sure that's what's happening here. These were sold by FSI to the military at some point for Humvee repair and work on various military vehicles and such. And now somewhere somebody sold a ton of them at a military auction. That happens fairly often, and now people are reaping the benefit of it because the original company selling these was a company called Huck, and the Huck ones sell for $300, $400, if not more, depending on where you're looking. So $100, or I'm seeing these on eBay right now for anywhere between $120 to $200. There are some outliers selling them for far more, but you'd be silly to pay more than $120 for one of these right now. Comparing this to the large ones I picked up off of Amazon or the Marson style hand ones that I have, these things are just superior in every way. They install them faster, they're less strain on me. The only thing I could say that's negative about these is fitting them into a tighter location. My Marson style ones are just a little shorter for fitting under dashes in tighter areas, but I haven't run into a single problem yet on this truck where I haven't been able to fit these. thankfully. I was really close on the inner fenders on the core support area. That was pretty difficult on this truck, but I did get them in on it. There is a 90-degree adapter for these, but I haven't found it yet. It doesn't come with the kit. It's just mentioned in the kit. I don't know how much the pricing is on that. If I can find it, I'll drop a price here, and if it's cheap enough, I'll probably just pick one up. But for the most part, I haven't done that yet, so we'll look at that. Okay, now let's go ahead and actually use this thing. I'll show you how I use it to install it. As I said, the instructions are not that clear. The big thing that matters when you're using this thing is the position of the lever, the selector switch on the back handle of it, and pumping it. That's really pretty much it. First thing you need to put on is the master shaft turn nut. This is what will allow you to back out of the Nutsert once you're done installing it, because this doesn't just automatically disassemble itself. You do have to spin it out of the Nutsert yourself. Then you need to pick whatever shaft, draw shaft, and collet you need for the size you are installing. Currently I have a 1/4-21 installed on here, 1/4-21 of these installed on here. The draw shafts have a left-hand thread on the backside of them, so when you install them into the tool, it turns left hand into there. Then all you need to do is slide the collet body over the draw shaft of the tool. It's really straightforward. The only thing I can say to worry about here is that it just slides over that, so if you turn the tool upside down, it'll fall off of there. So watch out for that until you get the Nutsert installed on it. Then you just pick out your Nutsert, install it onto the draw shaft, and you're ready to go. Obviously, you need to drill a hole into whatever material you're working with and select the proper Nutsert for your job. There are different lengths of Nutsert for different material thicknesses. You're gonna have to figure out that for your individual application. Now, the most important thing I can tell you is that you need to select the proper setting on the selector lever of the tool. Right now, it's in the release position. So what I need to do is turn this lever down so it's perpendicular to the actual shaft length of the hydraulic cylinder. This is the installation position that I need to be in. The instruction did not make this clear when I first started using this tool, and I did ruin 1 or 2 Nutserts by over tightening them and cursing my way through the operation of it. So that's important for you to know. Squeeze the handle a couple of times. That will draw the cylinder into the tool. What I found is, and what the instructions seem to indicate, is 3 full pumps on the tool is about what you want to install a Nutsert properly. That seemed to apply pretty universally across the board for all the ones that I've installed, no matter what size. After you got that Nutsert fully seated like that, you got those 3 pumps in, you need to go ahead and turn the selector perpendicular to parallel with the cylinder. Now you just give it one more squeeze, and when you get down toward the bottom of the tool, it will actually release pressure and let that thing off. Once you have the tool actually released, you just go ahead and spin the turn nut on the master shaft left hand, and it will back the draw stud out of the Nutsert. And that's it. That's the operation of this tool. The biggest thing I have to say is, like I said, it wasn't clear to me in the instructions what position the selector had to be in the first handful of times that I used this. Again, perpendicular to the cylinder, turned away from it, so facing down the length of the handles, is the draw position. Turn it, after 3 pumps, turn it so it's parallel with the cylinder, perpendicular to the handles, and that is the release position. Just squeeze it down all the way and it'll get to that quick release position and the cylinder will let loose. If it is in fact military surplus, like I think it is, it's a matter of however many that companies that are selling them right now bought is how many there are. So getting these warranted might be a problem for you. I don't know. I haven't had a problem with it, so it's going to be up to you whether or not you're going to be able to do that. I have heard of people getting these rebuilt in the past. A friend of mine bought one months ago before this deal kind of came around, and theirs wasn't working right, so they got it repaired. I don't know where they got it repaired. Maybe I'll reach out and see if I can get that information and drop it in the description down below for you folks. But you're gonna have to figure that out for yourself. Like I said, at the price tag that these are going for, you could buy a couple of them for what the Huck ones are selling for. So it's gonna be up to you whether or not it's worth it. If you install a lot of these, absolutely pick one of these up. There's a link in the description down below to this thing that is an affiliate link, so if it does help out the HotRodHippie channel, if you use it, but it doesn't cost you anything more, definitely consider checking that out. All right, folks, I hope you found this video interesting. If you did, please go ahead and drop it a like. It really helps out. Let me know in the comments down below. Do you use Rivnuts on a regular basis? Are you gonna pick one of these tools up for yourself? Let me know what you're thinking in the comments down below. Check out the Patreon account, patreon.com/HotRodHippie, that directly supports this channel. And get subscribed to keep up to date with all the HotRodHippie content. Thanks for coming around, folks.